Hey YouTube, this is The Art of Prepping. Thanks for joining me. Just going to take a seat here and just do a little chit chat. I've been watching my groundhogs and squirrels gather up acorns. They're really trying to pack on some weight. Just want to talk about some things. I see a lot of channels, even myself, that are very specific on this type of bag system and that type of bag system. And just because myself and others talk about specific bags like EDC bags or get home bags or bug out bags, survival kits, scout packs, all these little words, there's acronyms all over the place. They have them, go bags, 72-hour bags, perk, all kinds of things. Acronyms out the wazoo. We don't really even need to be so concerned about a lot of that. It's just we have to have the capability that we need when we need it. So yeah, it makes sense to have a car kit. You can call it whatever you want, but if you don't really have, the interest and or the resources to make a dedicated car kit, it could be something that you just have a beefed up everyday carry bag and you have a hybrid version of it to include your get home bag. I know a lot of people that are actually like that. And in some cases, they actually just keep their EDC / get home bag in the vehicle. And so they just keep it there, and they don't like move it around and stuff. So, there's a lot of ways to deal with this. Even with your medical kit, especially a mobile medical kit, you could just integrate that into your main pack instead of having a separate container for that or tote or another backpack. It's real easy to get, really organized to some degree. And when you do that, you start adding up a lot of extra, containers. And before you know it, you have 5 or 6 things going on and they're all divided and they don't really work with each other. They're not like, you can't really carry all these things together if you needed to. So you almost have to just get back to being a little bit more streamlined. And that's what I've been trying to do recently as well. I kind of just woke up the other day and go, wow, I have so many kit systems. Even though it's my hobby, I just really realized that, okay, this is now a little extreme. Well, this is just too much. I can't even hardly maintain the kits. I wanted to do some upgrades on my medical kits recently, and I'm like, oh my gosh, if I was to actually get, this upgraded tourniquet, or if I wanted to get this emergency trauma bandage and get 1 or 2 for every one of my kits, it was going to be like well over $100. And I'm like, wow, and a lot of those kits I never even use. They're just in storage, or they're just sitting in a closet, or they're just a backup to a backup kit. And I'm like, is it really necessary to have all these purchases in the future to actually get all the kits up to grade when I only use maybe 1 or 2 of them out of maybe 10? And this is where I've come to a conclusion, is that this is not necessary. I really had to put it all on paper and realize that, man, this is a major money pit that's not necessary because, like I said, I don't even have the kits on me half the time. Now, the get home bag in the vehicle, it's in the vehicle, and it is there. The EDC bag typically does get moved around and used, at least half the time. But there's a lot of times when I go up to the grocery store, I just somehow forget to grab the EDC bag. So all I really have is the get home bag. So these are just some things I don't hardly ever, really bring my Bob or bug out bag or long-term survival kit when I go anywhere, I just don't bring it. It just kind of stays at home. And I think I'm kind of doing some of the similar things that maybe you're doing. So just think about this. Look at your kits. I literally just went, when the election was going on last night, I just pulled out almost all of my kits. It was actually a big mess. It may not have been the best strategy, but I literally just took them all out, opened them up, and took everything out of every one of them, including my car kit. And it was actually quite stressful, not only just because the election was going on and the votes were coming in. And so I'm watching that, crossing my fingers and toes for Trump. But I got all this supplies everywhere, and it was just crazy land. So what I figured out, though, was that I had big holes and voids of potential capability that wasn't really represented in some of my packs. And it was actually quite disturbing. So what I ended up doing was just taking out all the supplies out of the packs and divide up all of the different categories of things. So for example, I took out all the medical stuff, for example, and put it all in one pile. All my tools, put it in one pile. So basically I organized it all into categories. And we'll go over those categories on my other channel, Everyday Prepper, this coming up Saturday is the next video for that channel. But let me tell you, I really realized that actually I have enough supplies that I didn't need to make another order for $100 or $200 medical order for medical supplies. I already have enough. And so it was like, oh my gosh, I just saved myself some money just to remind myself of what I have. I kind of knew I had it, but it wasn't really being used efficiently. So I've whittled down like 10 packs down to 3. Like 3 very good, comprehensive, fairly hardcore packs, that I could actually carry that aren't too heavy. Now the bug out bag is kind of maxing me out from my comfort level, but I could take off various elements. But man, I tell you, this is a major relief for me. It is something that, I sometimes get myself into more complicated systems than actually it's necessary. You may do the same thing. So that's why I feel like I was really needing to do this video while all this is fresh on my mind. Because even this morning, because I had to kind of complete the packs. Like last night I pulled it all out and got crazy with it. And I started to actually get some of the kits, pretty much organized. I did get my Get Home bag kit finished last night. And then it wasn't until today that when I woke up, I finished off my EDC bag again, which was not that much different than the one that I just showed recently on Everyday Prepper channel. But let me just tell you, I did some more tweaks. It's always a work in progress. And then I totally overhauled my bug out bag. And so what I've done is I've eliminated some bags. I really have. It's like the dedicated loadout bag, the tactical loadout bag. I've pretty much eliminated. I'm not saying that you can't have one. I'll still probably do a video in the future about one, but I also pretty much got rid of my long-term survival pack. Not that I still couldn't enhance my bug out bag to make it more long-term. It's just I had a totally different backpack that I was using. It was a much larger capacity, but it's still there. I could still create that within a very short amount of time, if I wanted to enhance it, and actually use it. And I just wanted to kind of bring it back into stuff that I'll actually be able to move around and bring with me. So if I go traveling, it was really kind of not so logistical to bring a big old honking backpack. I've never really shown you that pack before, but it's a big long-term survival kit. It's just, it's not like that heavy, but it's kind of like, wow. It's just kind of hard to maintain that and even remember what I have in it, much less it just never goes anywhere, just stays in a closet. So I just want to welcome you to start thinking out of the box. Maybe just take that leap of faith and just get everything back out. If you haven't done this for a while, if you have recently, then that's cool. Don't just ignore this. But sometimes you get a little complacent, if not a lot, and you just start putting things in bags and you just don't think about them. Go ahead and pull everything out and just see what you really have. And put it all in categories and then rebuild your kits. You'd be surprised about how much you may not put in the kit when you get done compared to all the stuff you had in it before. You may actually be able to minimize things, is what I'm saying. And there might be some other kits that you may be able to enhance that you need that extra level of capability. So this is something that, once again, that I've recently talked about, is having a biannual review of all your kits. And this is critical. I just went ahead and did this again, even though I did this recently, a big review. I was really feeling unsettled about what I saw. And so I just kind of had to do this. It was, how things kind of just bother you. And it was kind of just itching on me. So I just went ahead and did it. And I'm really much more like relaxed and happy about the results. Like, it really is some results now that I feel super comfortable with. And that's what, I want to welcome you also to do, is to be comfortable with what you have. It's your stuff. It's your gear to help you get out of situations. So don't be afraid to move it around in the pack. I can't tell you how many times I've moved pouches around last night and this morning, trying to find optimum places to put this and that. There is a place, typically you can find a place that will work. I had to readjust straps. I had to do a lot of things. I had a lot of gear on some of my packs tethered to the actual shoulder straps. I mean, like literally just knotted on and just really difficult to get off. But I spent the time and removed everything off my packs. And because I did that, it was almost like a clean slate. It's almost like a blank canvas that you can just start and do a new masterpiece that is actually even that much more relevant to right now, where you're at. And especially beginning that winter's coming in where I live, it's very important to actually really know, do you really have the clothing and the shelter options that you really will need? It was really good to look at that, and I do. It's just that I really wanted to enhance it even further. And so one thing I've decided to do this winter, besides my get home bag, I'm going to have an additional 2 bags. It's really 1 bag and a tote though. And the tote is going to hold one of my extreme winter Carhartt coveralls, and that thing is just unbelievable. I think it's rated, don't quote me, but I think it's rated to like -20 or -30. It's insane. Where I live, at least the wind chill can get below -30 degrees Fahrenheit. So, I mean, where I live, it can get a bit chilly. So there's a real risk of being really messed up from the cold if you're not prepared for it. So I got a tote that has that cover. I mean, it's a very large coverall, so I have a medium-sized tote and it barely fits in there. And I have an additional clothing backpack. It's a very large, for a clothing bag, it's a 40 liter, but I guess that's considered more of a medium-sized pack overall, but it's decent it's all clothes. It just has sweaters, wool sweaters, really nice wool hats and gloves, all very high-end, very, very solid stuff. So the combination of those two plus my get home bag gives me really great enhanced capabilities when I'm on the road. So that makes me feel much more comfortable. Plus, I probably would have most of the time an EDC bag on top of that. So there's 4 different container systems, if you will. 3 backpacks and a tote to give me plenty of resources when I'm out and about. So that's just an example of things that I've been trying to tweak. And we're always, once again, tweaking things. And so it pretty much never ends. And so it's not that it's a bad thing. It does kind of get like a little tiresome after a while because you don't want to overthink all this, but you don't want to underthink it too. It probably would hurt you more if you underthink these types of situations and how your kit should be put together than overthink. So, hey, let me think about some more things about this topic, and we may have a follow-up. But what do you think about this? Do you find yourself in the same situation sometimes that you sometimes need to pull everything out and see, hey, where do you really stand? What's really in my packs, and how do these packs work together? So thanks again for all the support. Once again, congratulations, America. Trump is the man.